Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn. Welcome, everybody. We are here at Living Chassidus, and Baruch Hashem, over the last, right now it's 12, almost 13 years of Living Chassidus, we have grappled a lot with the question of, when I was younger, I learned about Kivud Abayim. I learned about how we should respect and honor our parents. And now that I'm an adult, whether I'm living on my own or I'm married or I live far or near, how does this apply now? What does Kivud Abayim as adults look like? And over all these years, we've always wondered, and Baruch Hashem, now we have the great zchus of learning from a wonderful Rav. We are going to pass on the microphone to him, and he will take over.
Yeah, okay, just to begin about this mitzvah in general, it's obviously this mitzvah, Kibud Abayim, is a mitzvah that's called a mitzvah asay min ha-Torah. It says clearly in the Torah, Kabed es avicha ve'asimecha, and another pasuk, Ish imoi ve'oviv tira'u. So then the mitzvah to honor a person's father and mother, and it's another mitzvah to behave in a way of respect and a little bit with awe. So the mitzvah of honoring is called kibud, and the mitzvah of behaving in a respectful way, with showing a little bit of feeling of awe, is the mitzvah of moira. The Rambam says about this, V'hi mitzvahs asay gedoyla. It's a very great mitzvah. The Gemara says that a person should be very careful in this mitzvah. And the Eibishter says, Bizman sha'odam mechabed es ove ve'es imoy, when a person does honor his father or mother, Omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem says, Ma'ale ani aleihem, I consider it ki'ilu darti beineihem v'kibduni, as if I was living amongst them and they honored me. This is how great Hashem tells us this mitzvah is. Now, this mitzvah applies to people in all ages, and we find that there's great reward, great schar that is told to us about this mitzvah. In Tonat Ve'Eliyahu it says, Kol HaMevakesh, whoever is looking for Yomim V'Shonim V'Oisher V'Chovoid V'Chayim Aruchim Ba'olam Hazeh U'Ba'olam Haba Yaseh Es Ritzoin Ove V'Imoy. Whoever is looking for having long life and a very good life should respect their father and mother. The Torah says clearly, L'man yarichun yomecha, L'man yitav loch, should have a long life and it should be good for you. And one of the reasons for this, that the Mefarshim explain that the Torah specifically says this, is because sometimes people are fortunate that their parents live very long, and the people are already older, and sometimes it's not easy for them to properly respect their parents. So therefore, the Torah tells us that if one feels, well, it's hard for me, it's not easy for me, it takes a lot of time of me, the Torah tells you, well, if you do it, you can live long and you'll have a good life. So it definitely pays. You shouldn't be bothered and say it's too much of a bother, or it takes too much time. Because in reward for this, the reward is to have a long life and a good life. That's what I'm explaining. And then to express even more the greatness of this mitzvah, it's mentioned in Sfarim that by doing this mitzvah of kibbud of aim in the proper way, this brings closer the geula. It's mentioned in Sfarim that this brings hashras hashchina be Yisrael. In this chus, one will have very righteous and good children. In this chus, one will be protected from not having any negative things happening through them. And it even says that the Eibishter specifically shines for them everything in a shining way. It's very interesting how in this forum they bring many, many points to bring out the greatness of this mitzvah and how there's so much reward for it. And again, even someone who's older, the mitzvah still applies. It does say that both a man and a woman are both obligated in this mitzvah the same, ish ve'isha. But it says that a woman, since a woman that's married and has a family is obviously obligated to spend a lot of time, she has the great zchus to spend a lot of time to do for her family. She has to take care of her family, her husband and children. So taking care of her husband and family is first. And then when she has extra time, she should also focus on her parents and keep it over aim and take care of them. That's what it says about a woman who's married and has a family. So her own husband and family come first to deal with, to do things for. She can't say, well, I'm busy with my parents, so I have no time for my family. That's not the right way to do it. The family comes first, but you have to have in mind the parents too. And if one can't personally attend the needs of their parents, they can send other people. They can send a shliach. They can get other people to do what's needed for their parents in order to fulfill the mitzvah of honoring their parents. What does it mean to honor? What does it mean to honor the parents? So basically it means a few things. First thing it says, if they need food or drink, bring them food or drinks. If they need clothing, bring them clothing. If they need to go out, need someone to escort them, go be there for them, be able to go out and do things and get things, whatever they need. So it's simple things. Part of the mitzvah of honoring is to make sure they have everything they need. Everything that's something that's useful for them, that they'll benefit from, and they want it, to make sure to see to it that they have what they need. So if you could do it yourself, do it yourself. If not, get someone else to do it. Make sure it gets done.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What if your parents already have like all these things, like you don't have to feed them and so them if they have that? So like, what do you do there?
Right. So.
I'm saying, like, what if they don't need to be taken care of, like they're good?
Right. So there's a few more. This is one aspect of honoring them. This is one aspect of honoring them. It says along with this, though, that this should be done with sever ponim yofis. That means to show them that you are happy to be there for them. But if someone does everything for their parents, but they show that they're really not interested and they just have no choice, and that's why they're doing it, and the parents see that, it's missing the whole mitzvah. So it has to be done in a way that you show them that you're happy to be there for them and do what they want and do what they need. So basically, that's the main part of the mitzvah is to make sure that they have everything they need. That's the main part of the mitzvah. Of course, parents like to hear from their children. They like to hear from their children. So every time you go visit them, They like to see their children, like to hear from their children. Every time you go visit them, it's part of the mitzvah. Every time you call them, today we have telephones. When you call them and speak to them, part of the mitzvah. So there's no exact measurement of how much you have to do, but part of the necessities of parents is to have a connection with their children. So whatever you think, whatever you feel is needed for them to feel that they're getting what they need. They have the right connection with their children. They spend the right time with their children. All of this is part of mitzvah of kibbud of aim. There's also one important thing that's mentioned in the Shulchan Aruch is that you're supposed to stand up when they come into the house. And if you're in the house and they're coming into the house, you're supposed to stand up for them. The question is, today's day and age, is this an obligation? Do people do this? That every time, or at least twice a day, in the morning and the evening, if they're in the house and the parent comes in from outside, they stand up for them? So the poskim speak about this, that the halacha is that if parents are moichel on their kavod, and moichel, if they tell you, we don't need you to do this for us, then you don't have to do it. You don't have the mitzvah. On the mitzvah of kibbud avim, to honor them, if they're moichel on it, they say we don't need it. We don't mind if you don't. It's fine if you don't. So the Sfarim says that today it's as if it's accepted that parents are not looking for the children to stand up for them. It's as if it's accepted that everybody said clearly, we don't mind if our children don't stand up for us when we walk in. So the general widespread minhag is that people don't stand up fully when their parents come in, but nevertheless it says it's good to show something, like just to lift yourself a little bit when they come in, as showing honor for the parents. There is a concept that if the parents aren't doing well emotionally, and it's possible that you won't treat them with the proper respect because of the way they behave. They'll get you very agitated or upset, and chances are that you won't give them the proper respect. You'll act up in a way that's not respectful. Then it's better to avoid being there by them. It's better to send someone else to take care of what they need, because you have a mitzvah, right? Because you have a mitzvah to respect them, and if you don't, it's a problem. But someone else doesn't have that mitzvah, so if they don't respect them and they don't treat them that well, they're not doing anything wrong as long as they don't do something that's not proper.
In that situation, is it a mitzvah to like not connect with them, or it's just like better that you don't disrespect them?
No, it's a mitzvah because it's better for you not to. Because if you're going to be there and not behave properly, you're doing an avera. If you don't go, you're not doing an avera. You just
It's a mitzvah to not go.
it's the proper thing to do is not to go, right? In a case where yeah.
That's so beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
In other words, if you are mizalzel bekvoidam, that's a problem. To be mizalzel bekvoidam. Mizalzel means to degrade their honor, to be disrespectful. That's mizalzel bekvoidam. And if you know that when you go visit them, it ends up being a very challenging situation, and a fight breaks out many times, whatever it is, then it's not advisable, because negative behavior is coming about, and therefore it's not advisable to do that. but it's understood that every situation might be difficult to determine, and we have a doubt. It's good to discuss it with someone else to figure out what is really going on and what's the best thing to do in that situation. Also, what also it speaks about in Shulchan Aruch that if they are not functioning well, and they'll do better if you put them in a home where they'll get much more better care, and that than you personally could do for them. If you know that the situation is, they'll get much more care and be doing much better if they're in a home than to be at home and rely on you to come and take care of them. Whatever their situation is, if they reach a level where you see clearly they're going to gain much more and be better off in a place where they'll have much more service and people caring for them and all that, they'll do much better there, and people will still be able to go visit them there and spend time with them there, then that's also better for that purpose. There is a famous story that the Gemara says with Doma ben Nesina, right? About that his father was lying on was sleeping in bed, and the key, right? What was the story? We'll find it in a minute.
It's the one about the gems of the. Yeah, where they like the sun gem, like gems.
Yeah, right. Right. The key was under his father's pillow when his father was sleeping, and they wanted it, and he was able to sell it and make a lot of money. And he didn't want to wake up his father, so he missed the opportunity. So the Gemara brings down this story, and it teaches us that what was his point? Keep it over. He has so much respect to his father that he didn't want his father to miss the. He didn't want to wake up his father, even though he's going to lose a lot of money. So it says in Shulchan Aruch that if his father or mother was sleeping, and the key from the store of the son is under their pillow, and they can't open the store now, and he's going to lose a lot of money. He won't be able to open the store till very late, and he'll lose a lot of customers. He'll lose a lot of money. So, nevertheless, he's not allowed to wake them up. Why? Because his loss is not a reason to wake up the father. It's his problem, not his father's problem. But if the case is, this is what it says clearly, but if the case is that the father will have a loss if you don't wake him up, let's say part of the profit from the store goes to the father, and he will have a loss if you won't wake him up, and he'll be upset. If you imagine that he'll be upset if you don't wake him up, then you could wake him up. The same is so Poskim say that the same is in any situation where if you know that if you won't wake him up, he'll be upset that you didn't wake him up, whatever the reason is, even if it's the fact that the child, the son or the daughter could have made a lot of money, but if the father will know that because he was sleeping, the child didn't make a lot of money, and it will bother the father, if that's the case, if you know that, he'll be very upset about that, and he'll want that you should wake him up, then it's fine. It's fine to wake him up. So they say that the case of Doma ben Nesina, that he didn't wake up his father, could be in that case his father wasn't that well, and his father maybe didn't really realize the value of money. And over there, in that case, the father, it wouldn't make a difference to the father if he lost the opportunity to sell his diamond. In that case. So therefore, you don't wake him up. But if anything, it's a case where you know that the father will be happy that you woke him up, and he'll be upset if you didn't wake him up. Then you should wake him up. Right. He was non-Jewish. It's just an example. It's an example that's brought in the Gemara. Right. He still honors his father. That's right. It's an accepted thing by non-Jews too to honor parents. In a healthy family, it's accepted. Yeah.
Like how much more so Jews?
Right.
Saying, like,
right.
This is a non-Jewish person, so like how much more so?
That's right. That's right. That's what the Gemara brings. That's why the Gemara brings it. Yeah. So this is about the mitzvah of kibbut. But then there's the mitzvah of moira, which means not to do something disrespectful, as I said. So that includes not to sit on the seat where the parent usually sits. If the parent has a designated seat where they usually sit, don't sit in their seat. If they have a designated seat in shul where they usually sit, don't sit in their seat. Don't either contradict what they're saying in front of them. If they're saying something, don't say, it's really not true. It's really different. It's really not so. Don't say that. So these are all. This is considered disrespectful behavior. That for someone else it won't be disrespectful, but for parents, this is called having moira ish imay v'aviv tiro. Then in connection with this, it says that even if there was a situation that somebody was sitting at a big gathering and he was sitting at the head and he was wearing nice clothing and he was participating in this big gathering, and then his father or his mother come into the room, come over to him, rip off his clothing, hit him on his head. What should he do? What should he do? What a scene, right? So it says he shouldn't embarrass them. He shouldn't show that he's being bothered. He shouldn't show that he's angry. He should be quiet, and he should be afraid of Hashem, who commanded us to behave in this way in front of the parents. But, it says, but if they ripped his clothing, if they damaged his clothing, the next day he can take them to Beis Din and demand that they pay him back for the loss. That it says he can do. Yeah, that's calmly. We'll tell them, let's go to Beis Din. You know, my clothes got ripped. Let's, yeah, consequence. Right. But at the time, at the scene, the person should control themselves. So therefore, a person is not supposed to get into such a situation. That's what we mentioned earlier. If he knows that if he's going to this place, it's possible that his father or his mother will come and it will be a scene, and he will have to behave the way he should, and chances are that he won't. He should refrain from going to such a place, being in such a situation. Correct, right? Okay, so.
Concept about the sheet that was caused, like the shirt was ripped, so that's like a loss for the son or the daughter or whatever. But what about the sheen that was caused? Is it like, does that count for anything? Because I know that sheen, like in halacha, they're like, it's a big
right. Embarrassing someone gets a knas, right? So I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think by appearance. I don't think it applies. I don't think that applies. So anyway, we always know, but the way the Shulchan Aruch presents it is, remember that Hashem told us to have this special respect and awe, feel a behavior with awe for the parents in a way that it shouldn't. It should be easy if you would tolerate. If it happens, if it comes your way, strengthen yourself and say, well, this is what Hashem wants. It's a mitzvah. This is a mitzvah, just like lighting Shabbos candles and eating matzah by the Seder. This is a mitzvah that I have to do. So I'll be careful. I'll do what I'm supposed to do, no matter what. It's important to have the right attitudes. If a person's parents are not frum, this is common. If you have a Baal Tshuva, Balas Tshuva, and the parents aren't frum, nevertheless, there's still a mitzvah of kibbud av v'em. But again, in situations where, because the parents aren't frum and the child is, if visiting them can bring conflict and discussions that get them upset and might get you upset, and you might not respect them well, then it's wise to be careful not to visit them too often, or whatever it is. You can still call them on the phone if you know that on the phone it's easier for you to control yourself. or whatever it is. If you think though that the conversation won't be a good one, and it's not, it won't be a positive one, and why should it better be quiet, then that might be the better thing to do at that time. But again, if you know that your parents need something and you can provide it for them, even if they're not from, you should do whatever you could that they should get what they need. Send other people to take care of them. Whatever it is, the mitzvah still applies.
So what if your parents need something and they're not, like, let's say two people live on like two different countries.
Right,
I don't know,
right,
just,
right.
yeah,
Right, so-
but, like, let's say like someone lives in New York and their parents live in Australia.
right.
So if that person pays someone to help their parents, is that the mitzvah of keeping?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's right. Yes, it is. Yes, if they need help and you are not there physically to help them, and they need help, and you pay for it, you pay the person. It's your obligation. It is your obligation to pay someone to do it, because it's your obligation to help them with what they need, to be there for them and help them. And if you can't do it, you have to pay someone to do it. That's right. That's part of the mitzvah of kibbutz. It demands that you're responsible to pay for it. You see, whether it's a whole discussion in the Gemara whether a person has to, in order to fulfill kibbutz of aim, has to spend money of their own, or no, it doesn't have to spend the money of their own. They could use the money of the parents. Let's say the parents need food, so they have a mitzvah to take the parents' money, and buy food for the parents. But do they have to lay out their money for the parents? This is a discussion. It's a discussion in the Gemara. Some say you do, some say you don't. It's a discussion about this. So regarding laying out money for the parents, that's a discussion. But to physically be there, to bring them what they need, on their own they can't manage. They have money, but they can't manage on their own. You need someone to be there, go to the store for them, to bring their things to them, help them get places that you're obligated to do. So if you're not there, you have to pay money even to get someone else to do it for you, because your original obligation is not a money obligation. It's a physical obligation to be there for them, to take care of what they need. And if you're not there and you can't do it, you have to send someone else. And if it costs you money to send someone else, you have to spend money to send someone else. That's because your original obligation is not a monetary one. But when the original one is a monetary one, then it's a question if you have to give your money. But even if not, even if we say you don't have to give your money, but nevertheless, you should look to, if they need something and they don't have it, you should look to be able to give them what they need. You can give, it's a whole discussion. You could give your meiser to your parents. So basically, many poskim say that you could, if you have only meiser money, you know that they need money, and you don't have extra money to give them, but you have meiser. So practically, you should give your meiser to help the parents if they need. The relatives come first, yeah, and the parents are the most important. So that's definitely the right thing to do.
You mentioned earlier about disagreements in front of the parents.
Yeah.
Was there I guess, what is the right and proper way to deal with, disagreements or this? Unless you're not there yet, I don't want to interrupt. There's actually another question closer to what I was discussed before. What if the parents ask you to contribute to a Shabbos meal, for example, even though the parents have their own money?
Contribute for their own Shabbos meal?
I guess that's a question, whether it's
or for someone else who needs. For their own Shabbos meal, they have their own money and they're asking you to contribute.
Seems like that's for a full family affair. That's what she just wrote. Just the nuclear family.
So they don't want to spend the whole money since it's for the whole family. So they want everybody to chip in a little bit. Is that the case?
Seems like it.
So then it would be proper to do so, I think, because it's not just for the father, it's not just for the parents, it's for the whole family. They want that everybody should chip in, and this will make them feel better. They don't think it's fair that they should have to give the full amount for the whole family. And therefore, this would make them happy, and this would make them feel it's something they feel is correct, and they want you to do this. Then it's a mitzvah to do it. Yes. Yes.
And then the next question is, if you know that your parents need help, but they won't accept it, are you still obligated to help them?
If there's no way you can give the help, then you're not obligated. But if there's a way you can do it in a smart way, you can find a way that someone else should give them what they need, or bring them, or send it to them. It's the right thing to do. Yeah. If you know that they need help, but they don't want to bother you, and they don't want to accept it, they feel bad that you should have to give them or help them, then it's a good thing to do. Again, if the situation is that they don't have money and you want to give them from your own money or from your miser money, they don't want to accept it, I think even if it wouldn't be a mitzvah, it would be children would want to help their parents. If they know their parents are suffering, but they don't want to accept help, they would try to find a way that somehow the help should get to them. And that's definitely doing the mitzvah of kibbud of aim. It's definitely doing the mitzvah. It's definitely sure. Yeah. There's a question. What about if the parents tell the child to do something? If your parents tell you to do something, they want you to do something, do you have to listen? Do you have to do what they're telling you to do? So first of all, it says clearly in Shulchan Aruch that if a parent tells a child not to do a mitzvah and not to do anything that's part of Torah and mitzvahs, then you're not supposed to listen to them. And it even says that if a child wants to go learn Torah somewhere, because over there he'll be able to learn better and he'll be able to learn properly. If he stays near his parents, he won't be able to. He should definitely go and learn Torah, and he doesn't have to be present to be able to visit them and all that. So, and then it says that if a child wants to marry a certain person and the father is not agreeing, so as long as it's a good thing for the son. Let's say a son wants to get married to a certain girl, and the father says, "No, I don't want you to marry that girl." So as long as the girl that the son wants to marry, nothing wrong with it. As long as it's nothing wrong with it, and it's a good shidduch, but the father doesn't want it, it says that the son does not have to listen to the father. It's a mitzvah to get married. It's a mitzvah to marry someone who you like and you feel is good. And if it's truly good, but your father said, "I don't want you to marry this person," you don't have to listen, because it's a mitzvah to get married.
Regardless if it's a man or woman.
No, regardless if it's a man or a woman, right? A daughter too.
Who can make the decision whether this is a good, meaning on the father's perspective, this is not a good.
Right. So that's why I said that if really it's a good thing, but the father has a reason why he doesn't want this. So of course you have to speak to someone else. You shouldn't make this decision yourself, right? To speak to someone else to figure out if the reason why the father doesn't want because he really cares about you and this is not good for you, then you shouldn't do it. But if it's not that, just the father has a side reason why he doesn't want, but really it's good for you, then it's a mitzvah and you don't have to listen. So the question is, but in general, if the parents want the son or the daughter to do something, do they have to listen to anything they tell them to do? So there's a discussion here about this. It brings a few examples over here. One is if the father tells the child they shouldn't drink coffee because it's not good for the child. We're talking about a case where it's not good for the child. It's harmful for the child to drink coffee, and the father says, I don't want you to drink coffee. Or I don't want you to smoke. Or I want you to get dressed properly when you go out in the cold. Or I want you that you shouldn't accept upon yourself a certain obligation because it's going to be too hard for you and you're not going to be functioning properly. To get involved in something, to take care of something, right? Son wants to get involved in doing something. The father says, no, I don't want you to. It's not good for you. You're going to be too busy. It won't be good for you. So all of these things are things that matter. Things that matter, right? It's not stam. The parent is saying, do this or do that. It matters to the parents. The parents care about the children. These are things that matter. So it's similar. In other words, it's considered a necessity for the father that the parents should see that their children are safe and getting what they need and having everything good. So in these types of things, it's proper to listen because it's something that's relevant to the parents. Something that's relevant to the parents. So similar to when they need food, you should bring them food. Similar to that. This is what we find in some Sfarim who explain this. So it's better to be careful about this when possible, that if the parents tell you to do something or not to do something because they care about you, and it's a meaningful thing, and it's a real thing, then it might be going into the mitzvah of kibbud av v'em. One second. How much more so when it's something that affects the parent? Let's say the parent is asking you to participate in a certain event, because then they will the father will feel honored that his child was able to participate in this event. Father will feel honored. Or the father wants the child to go dressed a certain way to this event, because then the father will feel honored. People are going to come tell him the next day, oh, your child looks so good, so well dressed. And he doesn't want him to go look like a shlump, So then it affects the father. Something that affects the father for sure is a mitzvah of kibbud av to do it. In other words, the child should listen because of the mitzvah of kibbud av. This is called kibbud av. Nevertheless, and of course, if it's something that if he doesn't do it, the father will be embarrassed, then for sure this is kibbud av. However, if it's a situation that the father is asking the child to do something without any reason, there's no reason. It doesn't sound like there's a reason for it. The child doesn't feel that there's a substantial reason why the parent wants him to do this. Or in a way that when the parent is saying it, it's noticeable that they're just giving you good advice. They don't really care that you should do it. They're just telling you that they think this is good advice to do. And of course, if he just told you to do something which is meaningless, it doesn't really have any value. Also, if he's telling you to do something which will affect the child very much, these are all situations where poskim say one can be lenient and doesn't have to listen. Now, it's not that everything a parent tells you to do, because of the mitzvah of kibbud av v'em, you must do it. No, if it's something that's not really substantial, doesn't really have true value, is not really a point. It's just that father decided that he wants you to do it, but it is not, you can't really explain why he wants you to do it and what's he going to get from it. So then it's understood that you shouldn't openly refuse and tell him, no, I'm not going to do it. You shouldn't openly refuse, but you can try to get out of it and not have to do it. You don't have to do it because of the mitzvah of kibbud of aim when it's insignificant. What?
Or a father or whatever, like, tells their child to drink knowledge. I'm saying, like, you can tell him to, like, go to the but just because he said it doesn't mean you have to, like, okay, I have to honor my father and stuff like that.
Well, that we already said before, that if it's anything that the Torah says that you're not allowed to do, anything that's a Naveda, you're not allowed to do, then you don't have to listen to them. That's clear. That's clear. Anything that's not right, you're right. But
just because he said it doesn't
just
mean...
because he said it, for sure not. That says clearly in Shulchan Aruch. That's right. That whenever the parent tells a child to do something or not to do something which is against the Torah and the mitzvahs, any aspect of the whole Torah and the mitzvahs, you don't have to listen. That's how the mitzvah was set up. The Eibusher says, I come first. So if Hashem says, don't do this, and the father says, do it, and you don't do it. If Hashem says, do this, and the parent says, don't do it. So jumping off a cliff is something which is not allowed. So yeah, just an example. So therefore, it's for sure not. But right. So the point is that it's not gonna have. Yeah.
Maybe a different example. Yeah. Maybe like they wanted you to go to certain store because they know the prices are better there, but really a different store has a bigger sale, so you go to the other store, but you just say like, yeah, I'll get a good sale.
Right. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Like just because they said it, now you feel like indebted to happen.
That's correct. Right. Yeah, that's a good example. So for sure, in that case, you don't have to go to that store, but you don't have to clarify to them that you're not going. You don't have to. You don't have an obligation to go. That's right. You get them upset. You just don't tell that's right. Just be quiet, but you don't have an obligation to go. Now,
isn't it? I guess it's good to always have a mashpia, like
yeah.
Some of these could be a little.
It's true. It's true. It's like case by case. Right, case by case. A lot of things are case by case scenarios. It's true. It's true. It's true. Now, but the last point that I mentioned before, that if it's something which is going to be very relevant to the child, that it's gonna really bother them. If the parents want them to do something, and it's meaningful to the parents, but it's really going to affect the child. If the child feels that it's going to affect them very much, then it's a little bit like losing money. You're not obligated to lose money for mitzvah of kibbud av v'aim. So to have a loss in the child's mentality, so to say, that he feels this is very difficult for him, and to do this that his parents wanted to do is very difficult for him. It's going to affect him for his whole lifestyle or whatever. Then you see, it says here clearly, we're talking about things that are very necessary. For example, if he should buy a certain apartment, and the father tells him not to, but if his child thinks this apartment I really want, and if I'm not going to have it, I'm not going to feel good. I want this apartment. Or taking a job. He wants to take a certain job, and the father tells him, no, I don't want to take this job. But the child feels, well, I have an opportunity to get a good job now. If I'm not going to get this, well, I'm going to suffer. It's going to bother me. It's a big deal things. These are big deal things. Or, of course, if in general, these are two examples. But so again, these are case by case, where you can discuss it with someone, see whether it's something which is very important and will have a big effect on the child. Then we say, just like he's not obligated to lose money, just to spend money for his parents. If he's going to lose money because of it, he's not obligated to lose out on important things that the son or daughter feel is important for them in their life. Again, sometimes a parent knows things that the child doesn't realize, and the parent knows what's really best for the child. So that's why it's important to take case by case and discuss it with someone else. So you shouldn't be we should have another opinion about it and see, is this something which is going to affect the child very much, that he doesn't have to listen to what the parents say, even though they want him to do this very much. That's so the sefer that I'm looking in here, it says that in all these things, it's worthy to discuss it with someone who really understands, to know what is really best for the child in this case, to know how to go about it. So these are basically the general points about this mitzvah of kibbud av v'em. Some say, not some say, it says in Shulchan Aruch that the mitzvah of kibbud av v'em also applies to grandparents. But the parents come before the grandparents. So if you can only take care of the parents or the grandparents, the parents come before grandparents. But there's also mitzvah that applies to grandparents too, and also to in-laws, to a father-in-law and mother-in-law. Father-in-law or mother-in-law, it's also a mitzvah to respect them.
What about siblings?
So there is a concept of Ochiv Hagodel, an older brother, that's mentioned in Shulchan Aruch. It doesn't mention about an older sister, so I don't know about that. What's mentioned is an older brother. That's one should be mechabed an older brother, but it's not the same level. It's not the same level as parents, but it's still a mitzvah to be mechabed. Ochiv Hagodel mimenu. That's what's brought. Also, if somebody's mother or father remarried and they have now a husband or a wife that's not your parent, nevertheless, it says this is called honoring your parent if you're being nice to their spouse. So therefore, it's also important to respect them. It's also important to respect them. That's that's also brought in halacha. So it's important, these are things to have in mind, and this is generally the points. Questions? Yes.
Yes, I had one back to the parent attacking the child. The question is, where does self-advocacy come in? Seems unfair to have to tolerate mistreatment and bullying.
Yeah, so therefore I said before, I think I clarified that this is when it already happens unexpectedly. We're talking about a case that happened unexpectedly. So then at the scene, you have to behave. The people around you can do whatever they want, but you as a child have to show respect at the scene. But of course, you could try to avoid being in such situations.
Right, like it's the child's responsibility to not put themselves in a situation that they know their parents are going to be upset about, or in an environment that they know there's something like that.
That's right. So we're not saying that you have to keep on tolerating abuse and all that. No, I'm not saying. We're saying to stay away from them. Then stay away from a place where you will confront them and they'll confront you. But if it unexpectedly happens at the scene, you have to behave in the proper way, because this is moira. This is called moira av v'em, which nobody can be moichel. The parents can be moichel the mitzvah of kibbud av v'em. Can tell you, we're moichel. We don't need you to respect us. I can tell you that, but to disrespect them cannot. So to get angry at them and to scream at them, that's disrespectful. That's moira. That's mitzvah's moira. So you're not allowed to do that no matter what. Other people could scream at them, and not you. So
is it okay, like let's say you're going to say something that you're going to regret, or like you're in a situation that, I don't know, tempers flare, and you're going to say something that can be disrespectful. Is it a mitzvah to like be quiet, or like try to just take it? I don't know, like I don't know any particular situation. I'm saying like for argument's sake.
You can do
like what's the line? You can't disrespect them, but yet they're, let's say, disrespecting you. How do you behave so you don't disrespect? Like, where's the line? I guess.
You see, again, when it's relevant to Torah and mitzvahs, the Eibishter says my respect comes first. So if it's a matter of Torah and mitzvahs that the debate is going about, then you could clearly explain to them that they're making a mistake. If they're questioning something in the mitzvahs, they're trying to convince you that it's not necessary to do this. Not necessary to eat matzah the first night of Pesach. If you don't like matzah, you don't have to eat matzah. Let's say they say that. So you can definitely tell them this is not correct. There's a mitzvah for everybody to eat matzah the first night of Pesach. Even if you don't like it, there's still a mitzvah to eat it. You can tell them that. It's not considered that you're contradicting what they're saying. No, this is a mitzvah. About mitzvahs, you can tell, but still try to be respectful. Don't yell at them. Don't get angry. Just in a respectful, calm way. Explain to them that what they're saying is not correct. But if it's not mitzvah based, you're not supposed to contradict them. Generally, you're not supposed to contradict them in conversation. Yeah,
so in certain cases, it's probably best to be quiet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, it's good to know.
Right. Unless you feel that it's important for them to know something, so you could share with them that if you think it's important to know something, you could share with them something that you read in a book, or as long as you're not saying it in a way that you're coming to tell them that they're wrong. Again, the best thing is to be quiet. If they're insisting certain things, right? It's better to be quiet. Sure. Yes. That's right. That's correct. And debateful types of conversations you'll have with other people. You'll have that with other people. Yeah.
Are you saying other people you can yell at them or
other people you can have debates. You have to be yes, right. Yeah. Another person you can say I disagree, I think is wrong. As long as not hurting them, you can say it in a nice way. That's fine. But parents, you have to be careful.
It's not
negative. Right. So with other people, it's okay, but with parents, you have to be careful.
Exactly.
There was a follow-up question. How does one stand up for themselves in one-on-one settings?
So again, I think people should discuss it with someone according to the situation. In other words, to stand up for themselves in one-on-one situations, who says it's important to win the conversation? Who says? If it's a one-on-one, a child with a parent, who says it's important to win the conversation? Let the parents say what they want and just be quiet. And if it's a negative thing, if it's not good for you and you're not obligated to do what they're saying, so in a quiet way, you'll just who says that you have to go out of the conversation correct? They have to understand why they're wrong and you're right. No, it's not relevant. The best thing with parents is just to leave it. If it's something which you could do and it won't affect you too much, and they want it, then you should do it. But if it's something that's going to affect you very much and you can't do it, then you don't have to win in conversation. But if it's a situation where it's not going to end, they're going to know that you did it, and they'll scream at you, and it's not going to end. How do you go about it? So then you should discuss it with someone knowledgeable how to manage the case, how to deal.
But it's like a particular scenario. Speak to your mashpia or
right. Correct. Pick a particular scenario where you feel it could go on, and if you're not going to know how to deal with it, you're going to suffer, or they're going to suffer. So, what should we do? A way to resolve it, to discuss it with a mashpia. That's right. Anyone who understands and can give good advice, proper advice. Yeah, right.
And just to clarify, you spoke about earlier, but I know that there's a lot of questions surrounding this. But if there's a parent, whether it's a background of mental health issues or abuse, or there's something unhealthy in the relationship. So if I understood correctly, what you said earlier is that the best thing to do is to create a distance. That way we're not meichel
we're not mezalzel in their kavod, right? But if they need something, send someone else to bring them what they need or to do. to do what's necessary for them. You don't be the one, because it's going to always get the confronting debates, situations because of their attitude or way of doing things, because whatever is going on by them, then you should try to avoid it. Right. Yeah, so define to send a shliach in that case. Yeah. 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 Generally, there can still be, right? Every case is different. Every case is different, right? Generally, if you could figure out that there could be a way where you can visit them occasionally that will go well, then it's a nice thing to do if it could. But if you know that every time you go, there can be issues, and according to case by case, get advice, and could be it's better not to. Correct.
And the main minimum requirement is caring for their well-being. Yes,
that's the mitzvah of kavod, is to care for their well-being and whatever is necessary. And part of it usually is to have a connection with their family. They want to see you. They want to speak to you. Have that in mind. No. So if you have an older parent who lives, or parents that live somewhere, and you're able to go visit them once in a while, each time you go, it's a mitzvah. Sure, it's a special mitzvah of kibbud avayim. Each time you go, doesn't mean you have to go every day. I think the Rebbe went every single day to Rebbe's and Chana. Yeah, every single day. I think the Rebbe went to Rebbe's and Chana. Yeah, I think every single day the Rebbe went to visit Rebbe's and Chana. He had tea over there, I think. Yeah. So the Rebbe was a very busy man, right? And nevertheless, as long as Rebbe Sachana was here, every single day he went to visit her. It's something. I mean, yeah. If someone could, if someone's able to,
Is a phone call also, like, even if you don't see them in person, if you're like,
yeah, phone call is valuable.
All different range of
right. Phone call is different. It's definitely a mitzvah. Definitely a mitzvah. If you know they appreciate it, right? If you feel that they'll appreciate the phone call, right, which many times that is the case, it's a mitzvah. Yeah. Yeah.
And fostering a relationship, or I guess maybe let me reword the question. Maybe you answered this already, but I guess it's of the parents feeling sort of ownership, or the parents requiring the mitzvah of kibbud avayim from whether it's children or grandchildren. Like it's a demand. Yeah. How does that?
So there is a halacha. I didn't read it before. It says here, Osur la'adam lahachbid uloi albonov uledaktek b'kvoidoi imohem. Person shouldn't present to his children that he's being very strict about this, and he wants that they should honor him. And continue all the time. He'll mention them. Don't forget, I'm the parent. You have to honor me. You have to honor me. Make sure you honor me the proper way. You shouldn't do that. Why? Shouldn't bring them to stumble. That means not to do it properly. If you're going to demand from them, they should honor you. They should honor you, and they won't do it in the proper way. They'll be over on the mitzvah. So what should you do rather? You should be moichel v'yalim ein of him. You should look away. That's what it says to the parents. You should be moichel on your covet, be moichel on your children's obligation to honor you, and look away. Because then they don't have a mitzvah. So the direction to the parents is not to be strict about this, not to be demanding that the children should be mechabed them. That's the proper way parents should go about it. So proper, healthy relationship between parents and children. Parents are not supposed to be the ones to remind the children to do the mitzvah of kibbud av. Yeah, that's what it says. Because you don't want, if you're going to mention it too much, it's going to backfire. They won't do it in the proper way, and then it'll be a problem. So the proper thing is yimchal v'yalam ein of mehem. Be moichel and look away. Because that the Torah says in this case, if you're moichel and you look and you don't mind, it's not a mitzvah. It's fine. When it comes to kibbut, It also says the next halacha is that one is not allowed to hit a child who's already older. That will, as long as if the situation is that you can be concerned that he will respond with negativity. So if you know a very young child that won't respond with negativity, won't respond disrespectfully, sometimes there is a concept of pitoida, part of chinuch. Sometimes you have to give a little patch, whatever it is, to a child that you should get the proper chinuch. There's different opinions about how it goes today. I'm not getting into that. It's not an educational chinuch course. But what it says is here. But if the child is older and there's a concern that he will respond with negativity, then you're not allowed to hit him. You're not allowed to do that. That's what it says. And whoever does this is over on lefnei iver loisitin michsher. Don't put a stumbling stone in front of a blind one, and that's what it's considered. So, right.
This would go back to that public, like, chaotic situation,
right?
That we were speaking about.
That the parents were not allowed to do this. Correct. Right. Parents are not allowed to do it.
So it's not
on their part. It's not right. But if they do it, and the scene takes place, you still have to behave according to the mitzvah. That's right. So there's direction to the parents and a direction to the children. And they should each be doing their mission. Right.
That's so interesting. That's so particular. Like sometimes in moments that it's very intense, whatever it may be, whatever, like everyone's intensity level is different, depending on whatever the situation is. But it's so amazing how in an intense environment between a child and a parent that sometimes it's better to be quiet or to just let them win the argument.
Yes,
just
that's right.
For the sake of cover.
That's right. Correct. Now it's good to know that in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, it's chapter Kuf Mem Gimel 143. Chapter 143, Kuf Mem Gimel, the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch is the halachas of Kibbud Avayim, and the Sforim say that it's important to review them every once in a while because it's a very important mitzvah that's always ongoing, and sometimes people forget or they don't focus on it so much. It's a good thing to review the halachas once in a while. So it's good to know where it is. It's in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, Siman Kuf Mem Gimel. That's most people have a Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. It's also available in English and other languages.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
Right. Then there are later Sfarim who elaborate on the topics much more. All kinds of Sfarim that elaborate on these points, but the points are all here in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.